Let's try it. Okay, it's already streaming live to Facebook. So it says, perfect. Hello there, let's try this again. Lisa Marie here. We had no intention of going live on here. However, technology, okay, Charlie said no volume, but hopefully she'll see this and come back on. Anyway, we had not intended to do this live. It was supposed to be in our private group, but technology always kicks my butt. And I'm not going to stress over it. It is what it is, right? So I have Gabriel Rivera here with me tonight. I met Gabe back in, I believe it was somewhere around January. And if you guys know me, you know that I've had some issues. Maybe you don't know that because I just recently shared my story. I mean, on March 11th. Why do I remember that day? Anyway, that I've been on Facebook for 13 years and I just shared my story just recently. And Gabriel has helped me through a big part of that. I was dealing with anger issues. I mean, it just something would set me off and I'd be out of freaking control. I just, I don't know. I can't even explain it. It is what it is. And I had anger to release. And if you were in my way, you got it. So, and it wasn't just that. I hated myself just as much as I hated everybody else. I did. My self-worth was gone. My confidence was gone. It was not pretty. I'm sorry. It just wasn't pretty. And so Gabriel and I talked, and he's an EFT practitioner, which is a emotional freedom technique. And so a simpler word for that is tapping. And so I'm super excited to just listen to this gentleman. So I'm going to mute myself and he's going to take over. And if you're watching, great, leave a comment so we can get back to you. And thank you for watching and all of that good stuff. So Gabriel.
Hello, everybody. Thanks, Lisa. I really appreciate it. Yeah, my name is Gabe or Gabriel, and I am an American born and raised in New Jersey, but I live in South America now. I live in Ecuador. And I've been down here for 5 years working online as an educator. I'm a teacher. I work with students in Taiwan. And I also work with people all over the world on Facebook for stress. So I'm an EFT practitioner, emotional freedom techniques. And what that means in lame terms is that I help people understand their thoughts and their emotions, how they correlate and how they really cause us more problems than good. But again, it's not anybody's fault. It's just the way things happen, right? We learn certain things in life and we create these behavior patterns and we just become so familiar with them that complacency is real. We get very comfortable being ourselves and having an identity that people say, oh, that's that angry person, or that's that depressed girl, or that's that, scary person, or whatever the case may be. We become labeled and we live that reality. So I help people release all of that junk because we carry all this burden within us. And what happens with emotional energy, well, the tandem thought and emotional energies is that over time we create physical symptoms because we rehearse this thought and feeling. It's just like the movie of the week all day long. We wake up in the morning with the problem and we rehearse that and we set ourselves up for the rest of the day for bad feelings, bad vibes, and then we go to sleep doing the same thing. The last thoughts in our mind is something that's devastating to us. So we self-prophesize our own physical, symptoms, headaches, spasms, muscle tension, tightness of the chest, anything with the five senses, blurry vision, I can't smell, tasting is bad, we can't feel things, we can't hear right. We self-prophesize our own demise little by little. And over the long term, we create disease with our own thoughts and emotions. So emotional freedom is not medical doctor work. I'm not a medical doctor. not a psychotherapist. I don't treat or diagnose problems, and I do not prescribe medication. That's for your doctor to do. I work with emotional root causes, the emotional energy in the body that is the true cause of people's, physical symptoms and, of course, their diseases. So a lot of what I'm going to talk about is it may violate your beliefs because we've created this BS in our life, and it's not the bullshit, it's the belief system. I like to use BS as a belief system, and our belief system is ingrained since we were born. So the one person that we're always battling is ourselves. And if you look at yourself in the mirror, you will know that that's true. The hardest person to get past is yourself, and yourself is your ego. And your ego is a plethora of downregulated emotions that manifest our physical symptoms, and also later on in life, it creates our diseases. And that's me, Gabe Rivera. So, Lisa, back to you. I can't hear you. There you go.
Yeah, I'm sorry about that. Okay, so I'm gonna first just kind of give you my testimonial. Gabe did, and he does do this for only 5 or 6 people a month, but he gave me a free 90-minute session with him, and it was really good. I don't know if you remember specifically, Gabe, but I do, and I thought he ain't gonna make me cry. He ain't, and he did. He did. I cried. I don't.
Yeah, you did. Yeah, you did.
You know what's really funny though is I didn't know why I was crying.
Which is okay.
I didn't, even though I focused
Right.
where my anger was, and
Right.
we went through the tapping process, which hopefully we're going to do a little bit of this.
Yeah, we will.
Yet. But I don't know what it was. I didn't know. And I think that's possible, isn't it? You kind of go back. How do you do that? Explain that to me, because how come I didn't know what reactions you were triggering, or what emotions I should say?
Well, emotional freedom techniques, it's about de-stressing first, because people are already not even stressed out. People are dealing nowadays with chronic stress, which means you're stressing out every day, all day, and we don't even realize it. And it's a very subtle vibration in our bodies, but they can have high peaks and very low peaks. We get triggered with anger and, explode, go ballistic. Or, we can have a subtle, low energy shift that'll keep us feeling melancholy, sadness, some kind of, depression, mild depression, which some people use, but depression is depression. So we knew what we were working with because that's what we addressed, right? Most people, when they say they want to let go, and they say that they want to, address a particular disturbance, they'll talk about it. But these are all surface layer things. So we worked on your surface layer anger issues first, and how we approached it with the setup statement and then the tapping, because that's exactly what you stated. So with EFT, any good, really good EFT practitioner will not put words in your mouth because it's all about your truth. And I think you remember, Lisa, that I mentioned that to you a lot, right? It's about your truth. It's about opening up your heart and allowing your truth to fill your heart again with that energy. And the truth is an elevated emotion. So by being honest with oneself, you're releasing that energetic trap, that disturbance that was in your body, creating all this headaches, physical pain or anything else. And it's being repurposed back into your heart. So as it does that, your heart, which happens to have its own central nervous system, it has its own neurosensory transmitters. It communicates with the brain and says, hey, by the way, we're dealing with anger here, and here's a relief. And it shoots that signal back up to the brain so that the brain can receive some energy and respond. The response is subconscious. This is where I asked Lisa, sense your body for any messages. Don't ask yourself anything, just sense and listen to you. And she was able to, again, formulate some responses that she did receive from her own subconscious mind. And we continued the tapping based on her words. It's about your truth all the time. So that's how we managed to get to your truth.
Yeah, I find it very, very interesting. And I was skeptical. I got to tell you, I was skeptical. I thought, yeah, okay, we can figure out a coping skill here. And it's completely, well, I did pay for a 5-day session with you, and I got to tell you, it was well worth every penny. And so we did 5 days in a row, and it was extensive. It was minimal 90 minutes to 2 hours, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, 5 days in a row. So we were new buddies, but yeah, I kind of went up and down. The first day, the first session, the 90-minute first session, I felt amazing.
Right.
Afterwards. I just felt this, I don't know, just this lighthearted feeling, lightness about me, and I was extremely happy. Not quite giddy, but I was extremely happy, and I was on top of the moon the rest of the day. So we started our 5-day, and the first day was about the same, maybe a little bit less. The second day, I think, was good. The third day, I don't know what the heck happened. I don't know what happened. Can you know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah.
It was like I disconnected or something.
You did disconnect.
Okay. So
yeah. So what happened was that, on day 3, what I teach is the actual basic recipe, the actual tapping algorithm, in more detail to get the client, acclimated properly. Again, no surprises. It's a very simple technique, 4 steps, but it takes practice to be able to, pretty much stimulate and get your energy flowing. So as we're doing this, okay, there is an element that's called psychological reversal. This is where your subconscious starts to, again, spew up all these things that we buried inside. And Lisa was disconnected a little bit, and I knew this because your physiology changes when we tap. When we are shifting our energy, our physiology changes. And she went backwards, and I saw this, I knew this, but, again, I understood where you were going with that, but we were not addressing your anger anymore. We were addressing another underlying emotional disturbance. So as a metaphor, I like to always say this because it makes a lot of sense. When we have earthquakes, all right, the earth moves and brings up ruins. Whatever was buried in the ground for a long time, it'll come up. And this is what happens when we're tapping. When we're shifting our energy, all those things that were at a lower, let's say, or buried a little deeper from 5 years ago, 10 years ago, sometimes even 30 or 40 years ago, it'll rear its ugly head to remind you that this is really what's bugging me. And we started to address those things to get you back into stasis, get you back into balance with your energetic self. And to be able to do that, the whole goal always is to have brain and heart coherence. In other words, to be fully aligned with oneself, so that your energy flow is absolute. And when it's absolute, you're creating a healing event within yourself. I just want to address quickly, if you don't mind, Lisa, Mark, because he put out a couple of things here really interesting, and I want to address that. So Mark says here, it supposedly also could be encoded in our food as well. I'm not sure about that, Mark, but any living organism or any energetic organism, and food is energetic, impossible to say that everything is energetic. So it's quite possible that food DNA, okay, can be affected as well by the energetic flow of EFT, by proxy, because there is an EFT protocol called EFT tapping by proxy, right? Where you can actually tap on a long distance thing. So it could be either a grain of rice or it could be a person across the world. So it's quite possible that, this is also encoded in food. Now, as far as your pineal gland, I love that question because, or that comment, Mark says, It's due to the calcification of the pineal gland, and it's a question mark. So yeah, you're absolutely right, but there's a lot of science behind that, Mark, and the way that works is this in the manner that when we apply meditation, okay, not meridian point stimulation, but meditation, when we are with our breath, okay, and we are in a rhythm of stasis where we are just observing now. And as we're breathing, our spinal fluid goes up the vagus highway, goes past the vagus nerve, cranial nerve 10, goes into your pineal gland. When it splashes, your pineal gland, that cerebral spinal fluid, okay, our pineal gland has silica crystals on it, legitimately. And that spinal fluid, when it splashes, it activates your third eye, because your pineal gland is your third eye. It is directly behind the eyes in your limbic brain, or in the amygdala, one or the other. Excuse me for not knowing all the right parts of the brain. But the pineal gland is aligned with your eyes. And this is why they say that this is the area where your third eye, when it opens up. And that's because internally, when we're doing meditation and we're splashing the pineal gland, all that cerebral fluid populates in the back of your third eye, because there's a hollow area right here in your forehead. In the back of it, that's where all that cerebral spinal fluid populates, and that's when the pineal gland is fully activated, and you're broadcasting to the universe and having a mystical experience, which is really fascinating. Marsh also says the heart seems to be the largest energy source. Yeah, it is. And it's how I repaired both my arms from what I thought was impossible, but trusted and believed and had faith I could get back to par to play drums again. Woohoo. Here are the words that are so impactful of what you just said. One, trusted, elevated emotion. We must trust ourselves. You must trust your conscious intelligence, because we are all part of that source of consciousness universally, okay? And you said you believed and had faith. When I do tapping, and Lisa will attest to this, I say, you only need faith and belief, 2 fingers, faith and belief, to be able to get you flowing the right way. So I find it fascinating that you said faith and belief in your statement, and which is very true. It has everything to do, because faith and belief, again, also being elevated emotions, they carry an energetic amplitude that's greater than the negative or the downregulated emotions. So it's very important that when we're working on a clear intention, we have to have a vibrational match emotionally. So it has to be elevated, as if, 2 very key important words, as if it's happening right now. You're walking in those shoes. So when you have faith and belief and you're walking in those shoes and you have that clear intention, what you're doing is you're creating heart and brain coherence. You're generating a 0.1 millivolt of electricity in your heart to signal your brain to get past the ego. Because again, remember, all those years of emotional stacking creates a heart wall, and your heart finds it difficult to pump like a tribal drum. But once we start applying these little tidbit techniques that I'm mentioning, and your heart is in coherence, you start to thrive. You start to shed those things that are holding you down. It feels like weight, and now you start to fly.
Definitely feels like weight off.
Yeah.
It's like the brick wall is lifted off. What an amazing feeling. And I know that brain and heart thing, when that thing is clicking, I mean, you feel freaking amazing. It's
Yes.
like you absolutely can create your future. I mean, you have the highest intentions, the highest thinking pattern of that there is, I feel. At least when I've done it. I have done it. Have you done it, Marcel, and felt it? I mean, known that you were in that state. You know what I mean? I think that you do know that, don't you, Gabe?
Yes, absolutely. I know this firsthand because I work with this every day, and I applied it on myself first before I started to work with people.
Right. But
And
felt that. I felt that.
With you, yes.
I want to say it was like aligning to my vortex. It was.
Sure.
It absolutely was aligning to my better inner self. So
Right.
that's how, I just want to say that.
Yeah, one of the things that I think I mentioned to you while we were tapping together was that your physiology changed. I mean, you went from, you know, darkness and you lit up. And that's part of the testament. You become a witness to your own, you know, flow. You start to really embrace the fact that we are innately powerful people. We've just never been taught how to self-regulate our own thoughts and emotions. And I'm going to always talk about those two things with EFT because they are the two most powerful faculties that any human being has, not just to, again, self-regulate your emotions. In other words, keep yourself healthy, mental wellness and physical body wellness. But more importantly, when you're seeking to have a higher spiritual connection, okay, you got to get past all those emotional disturbances and you have to be in coherence. We cannot achieve that effectively until we get past our ego. You know, there is no judgment, there is no criticism, there is no doubts, there is no loneliness or unhappiness when we have a mystical connection. So it is that vital for your life, you know, to be able to get past the ego, get past all those disturbances, you know, humble yourself by knowing that on the other side of that fear that you have of letting go is where your success really lies. We've just never seen it because we've never been told we can. We've always been told, hey, go to school, get a job, and be a slave to everybody and anything. People please, get your ass kicked, and don't complain. Even in the military, I'm ex-military.
Be complacent. Be complacent
be
and
complacent.
conform.
Correct.
You know?
Correct.
That's what they all out there want us to do, is all conform so that they can control us.
Yeah.
But
So
you know
much-
what?
Be yourself, but don't be yourself. Be yourself, but don't be yourself. You can't do that, but be yourself.
Right. Yeah, I like that.
It's true. And you know, in my private group this week, we are focusing on not so much anger, but anger is all it all has everything to,
It
it's
has its
all part
place.
of it. But it
Yeah.
was mainly stress, anxiety, and depression. And I just got to say this because on the health side of this is so flippin' damaging to us. The stress, the anxiety, the depression, all of this, it wears on a body like you have no freaking clue. You don't even know it
gotta
until
pace
it's
yourself.
it's reached its freaking level and you're ready to freaking explode. You know what I mean?
It's just like drum, you gotta pace yourself.
Right.
You know, not too much, have some play, you know, enjoy
But
yourself.
you know what?
right?
Yes, you are right. And there's good anxiety and there's bad anxiety. I mean, there is good anxiety. Wouldn't you, you know, to be excited and nervous all at the same time? That's kind of a anxiety that you want, not the other kind. Okay,
So you,
I'll zip it.
no, don't zip it, no, because you're onto something and it's so relevant, you know. Again, our learning experiences in life are 90% negative, 5% neutral, 5% positive. So we spent an average of about 20 to 60,000 thoughts on a daily basis. 90% of those are negative. We make about 20,000 decisions on a daily basis. And again, 90% of those decisions are negative ones that the consequences are just devastating for everybody on a daily basis. But we repeat these patterns only because this is what we know. So to be told the opposite of that is a complete violation of your belief system, your BS. And to not want to, let's say, embrace it and say, okay, let me see this possibility. Let me see if I can understand this possibility, because I suffer from anger. I suffer from a phobia. I suffer from anxiety. I suffer from lack of sleep, monster in the closet, irritable bowel syndrome. You know, all these things that we self-prophesize, you know, they all have an emotional root cause. So to be able to say, let me look at this possibility, okay? Right that moment that a person says that, you created mindfulness. You're allowing yourself to be mindful of something that may or may not be good for you, but it's a possibility. That curiosity has just raised your emotional levels. It has allowed you to bump up from, let's say, from depression to sorrow. Now you're not focused on the lower registered energy. Now you have a little bit more energy to look at the possibility. And that's what's beautiful about EFT. It bumps you up based on degrees, because your anger, Lisa, and my anger, it's anger, but it's not the same anger because of the unique energetic signature. You see, according to the Kabbalion, the Hermetic teachings, all right, the law of correspondence says, as above, so below. That means that your anger is a couple of degrees different than the person who's feeling it a couple of degrees lower. But anger is like a baseline. Phobia is a baseline. Fear is a baseline. They all have a different degree of intensity to that person, and it's unique to that person. So it can never be evolved or resolved in the same manner, because everybody has a different energetic signature. So you want to be able to address it like that, you know, and do the ecology testing, which we did together. And we'll talk about that as I go up to the tapping example.
Okay. I think that's amazing. So what do you think? Should we do a little round here and just, yeah, I think we should.
We're gonna do it right now.
Absolutely. I'm just gonna mute and listen to you and follow your directions. And I hope everybody out there does do this with me. I mean, just kind of go to a quiet spot and just really listen, because I'm telling you, I had a rough time getting this down at first, but just a little bit of practice. And like I said earlier, once you get this down, you absolutely could take a restroom break and in 3 minutes have this done. Maybe even less, but you could. So just pay attention. And if anybody wants the PDF attached to this, Gabe, I can share that with them after the fact. You're okay with that?
Yeah, I'm okay with that. And I was going to offer the same thing, you know.
Okay, perfect.
You know, at the end, I want to provide the modern energy chart by Dr. Sylvia Hartman, PhD, because it's important that people understand what their emotional intensity is in a pain management scale, and also the basic, the EFT basic recipe algorithm, which is very detailed, line by line. So I'm going to go through it with you right now, but having the information as a guideline to help you tap by yourself is always good to have. Let me see what Mark says. Mark says, was told that I had issues following directions. I hope not in this case. No, because, you know, anything that's not clear, you can always ask me, you can ask Lisa, but I am always receptive to be able to provide people with clarity, because EFT is such a gentle, it's so simple that it's amazing. People say, wow, it just can't be true that it's this simple and it's effective. You got to understand there's two things that's going on with EFT. You're working with your subconscious brain and you're working with your emotional energy flow of your body. So it's basically your whole central nervous system. We are the Christmas tree and we're going to light it up. And we're going to light it up so that you can actually start a healing event, move that energy. So everybody in the world is stressed out. And those who tell me that they're not are lying to themselves. And because we're stressed out, we became familiar with that. But here's the sad news. There isn't a single living person in the world, in the history of humanity, documented at least, that can survive long-term stress responses. We are built with a stress response for survival, fight, flight, or freeze. If you're not fighting against a lion, a tiger, or a bear, you're not stressing properly. Okay. If you're not fleeing from a lion, tiger, or a bear, you're not stressing properly. And if you freeze as you're stressing out, it's going to eat you up. Okay, so you don't want to do that. So because we practice this normally and we call it familiar, What we're really dealing with is called chronic stress. Chronic stress means you do this every day. And because we do it every day, we are literally self-prophesizing our physical symptom problems. Over the long term, disease. So the first thing you always want to do with EFT is you want to de-stress. You want to get your heart and your brain in alignment, in coherence. And you want to be able to get your heart into a, let's say, a 7.5 hertz frequency. So it starts a nice rhythm that signals your brain that is safe. In order to do that, we start off with a heart activation breathing exercise that I love to do. And I always tell people, you want to be able to cross your hands and put them over your heart, exactly like Marsh did. Exactly. Now, this is a simple breathing exercise, and it goes like this. You want to be able to breathe in through your nostrils as you're sitting erect. You want to be erect as best as possible, because as you breathe in unforced, you want to bring up all that cerebral spinal fluid from your sacrum or from your coccyx all the way up to your brain. And in order to be able to do that, you're going to be able to relax and observe. You're not thinking. You're not doing anything other than observing your breath. So we breathe through our nose, unforced, and we squeeze our perineum, and we squeeze our diaphragm, and we squeeze our stomach, and we push all that air past our throat, past our nostrils, all the way up to your brain. And you hold it for 1 second, 2 seconds. And then you relax. You exhale through your nostrils. And you continue this even, unforced breathing all the way up. And you squeeze your perineum, you squeeze your diaphragm, you squeeze your stomach, and you bring it all the way up. And feel it, sense it, hold it, and then relax. And as you continue this gentle breathing, sense your breath. That's your life force. Sense it going up through your heart, all the way up to your brain, and then you relax and back down through your heart. Sense your breath cooling your insides. And as you take the next breath, think about something that you're grateful for. It could be anything. You could be grateful that you woke up this morning where many people have not. Maybe you're grateful that you have an opportunity to help your neighbor, feed somebody. So anything that you're grateful for, the air that you breathe, be grateful. And then relax. And you want to take another breath, and as you take the next one, think of a second thing that you're grateful for. Again, it could be anything. The love that you feel in your heart, your parents, child, could be an artifact. And you just relax, breathe in softly, deeply, and then relax. And then on your next breath, think of a third thing. Just one more thing that makes you feel so grateful about your life. And then relax. And as you're regulating your breath, when you're ready, come into the room. Slowly open your eyes. And then just listen to your body. Don't think about anything. Just observe your breath. Take a minute to be with your breath. Because that's your life. That's your life force. And that puts your heart in a happy place. Mars is feeling the flow. How are you, Lisa? We'll give Marcia a few minutes. Right, Mars is good. So we have literally just de-stressed ourselves. And it can involve any kind of stressful situation, but as long as we distress and we put our hearts in rhythm and coherence with our brain, the tapping will become more effective. So once we're done with the breathing and we sense our body, what we want to do is we want to tune in, meaning we want to think about this particular emotional disturbance. Lisa, can we use your example, your anger as an example? Thank you. So we'll use anger as an example. We all deal with anger at a daily basis and we suppress it and then we stack other anger from it because we didn't resolve the one from yesterday and the one from last week and the one from 10 years ago. So we got anger built up, pent up, and we're pressure cookers. We're going to blow up. We don't want to do that because the consequences of blowing up can create a lot of problems for yourself and for others. So just remember that whatever you're feeling, it's your feeling, it's nobody else's. Nobody can make you feel anything ever. So when we say things like, well, he made me feel this way, that's not true. Nobody can make you feel the way you feel. Okay, so you have to be able to take your own energy, which is an emotion, an emotional energy, and affirm and accept that. And this is how EFT starts. We tune into that disturbance. I feel angry about something. And now we rate it on a scale, a SU scale, subjective units of experience. The traditional pain scale management in psychotherapy is a SUD scale, subjective units of distress, which is 0 to 10. The subjective units of experience, the scale that I use, is more effective because it takes you from 0 to -10 and from 0 to +10. And we always start on the negative side. So we will first rate the intensity of that anger. How does it feel on a scale of 0 to 10? Does it feel like a -2, like a -4, like a -8, like a -10? This is why I'm offering the modern energy chart today, because a lot of people want to feel it feels like 1,000, it's painful. And it's really not that critical, because if it was, you'd be dead. So normally stress is measured at a -3 on the scale, which is intense enough. When you're doing a 5, 6, or 7, we are at critical level where we need medical attention. And anything above that, we will die, especially of a broken heart. So we rate it.
Can I just say that
Yes,
I
please tell
rated
me.
myself a -8 when we first started.
And that's okay. That's okay, right? And we worked it out, And the thing is that we rate it because that's supposed to be your benchmark, your baseline for the tapping. So now we start with the tapping. The tapping is very simple. And I just want to say, we want to be able to approach this with some kind of enthusiasm. Even if we're feeling bogged down, I feel depressed, I feel really angry, I can't feel excited about nothing. But you want to try to get excited about this change because you're doing it because you want to shift that. So you want to have an energetic amplitude that's greater than the way you feel. And I say that with that kind of excitement because it has to shift. It cannot shift if you're being complacent about it or lollygagging, like, yeah, okay, I'm angry, but I don't believe in this junk. Doesn't matter if you don't believe it, it works anyway. The whole thing is when you invoke an elevated emotion, your results will be quicker. But here's a caveat. You have to be honest with one person. You don't have to be honest with your practitioner, but you have to be honest with yourself. Because if you're not, you're going to be hanging on to old wounds and you're going to be bleeding on the people who did not cut you. So you don't want to do that. We understand that you're hurt. Everybody is hurt about something. But you don't want to bleed on the people who did not cut you. You want to be able to, again, self-regulate and do it in a way that's promising, that's effective, that's absolute. So we start off with the statement, the discovery statement. So we start off with tapping on this meridian point. This is called the karate chop point right here. This is a meridian point here, an acupressure point in the body. I like to tell people that you can use faith and belief, 2 fingers. It could be any side. If you're left-handed, you can use left hand, you can use right hand, because we have 2 karate chop points, 1 in each hand. So it doesn't matter which hand you want to work with, they both work. So I use faith and belief, and you want to tap on that meridian point vigorously. You don't want to hurt yourself because this is gentle, this is self-love. You don't want to be too light because who are you kidding? You have to feel it, but don't hurt yourself. This is you, you're being gentle. So you tap on that, and now we say the discovery statement. This is where we really start to make progress now. And it goes like this, and the verbiage is very precise, and it must be learned exactly the way it is before you decide to change it. Even though I feel angry right now, and I know why I feel angry, but I'm a little bit ashamed to say why. I deeply and completely love and accept myself. And even though I have this anger, oh man, I feel this anger in my chest. I mean, it just makes me cringe at the idea that how pissed off I am. I deeply and completely love, honor, and accept myself. And even though I have this anger, I'm not going to say the truth. I'm not going to tell you why. I'm not going to tell anybody why, nor my practitioner. But I do have this anger, and I am ready to allow myself to release this pain from my body, from my heart, because I deeply and completely love, honor, and accept myself. And then we stop and we take a deep breath from right from the diaphragm, bring it all the way up. And you hold it. And then you relax. And then we go to the tapping round, step number 2, which is the sequence. It is 11 meridian points that we tap in sequence top to bottom while stating a reminder phrase of what we expressed in the discovery statement. So we start in the top of the head and we tap 5 to 7 times as we say, this anger that I'm feeling. And then we go to, corner of the eyebrow. This anger that I just can't get rid of. And we go to the side of the eye. And the side of the eye, either side, because we have 2 of them, and you can tap on that. This anger that I want to release, and I demand that I release this right now. Under the eye, on the bone, right where the pupil splits, right there, either one, both, or one, and you can tap on that. This anger that I still feel flowing in my mind. Oh my God, I can't stand the thought of having this anger. Then we move on to the governor's point, which is right below the nose, between the lip and the nose, and we tap on that. I allow myself to release this anger, even though I don't know how, but I am learning how to do it right now. Then we go to the cleft, the chin area. We tap there. This anger that I've had for about 10 years, I don't even know why I'm angry anymore. I just am. Then we go to the collar. The collar is where your throat has that hole, and you put your middle fingers in there, both of them, and you slide over your collarbone until you feel the dip, about an inch and a half over on each side. And that's where you tap. You can tap on both. One, you can tap anyway, but as long as you're stimulating that meridian point, you're doing good. This anger that I have, you know, I don't know. I can't even remember who made me this angry, but I don't like it. I want it out, and I'm going to get it out because it doesn't feel good anymore. I get nervous now. Oh my God, that makes me mad. And then we go to under the arm. So excuse me for being so sweaty, but it's hot here like crazy. For men, you do this, put it underneath your armpit, and right where your pinky is, that's where you're going to tap. And you're going to use 4 fingers here because it's a lot better. So you tap on there. For ladies, it's right above or where your bra strap is. And you just tap on that again with the reminder phrase. This anger that I am so ready to let go of right now. And I'm going to do it because this is why I decided to learn this stuff. I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm going to do this. I'm going to release this anger. And then we finish on the psychological reversal point or the karate chop point. This anger that I just don't care for, I demand that you leave my body now. And then you stop, you take a deep breath. You hold it. And then you relax. And then we go to the third step, which is called the gamut point, the 9-point gamut point. So between your pinky and your ring finger, between the knuckles, halfway down, you have a meridian point. It's called the gamut point. And we tap there. So now we're going to be doing some subconscious exercises, IQs and everything. And this is good because as you're tapping, you keep your head straight. And now you close your eyes and you open your eyes. And you keep tapping continuously as you're doing these exercises. And then you roll, you look down hard right, and then center your eyes. Look down hard left, and center your eyes. And now you roll your eyes once, slowly, clockwise. Feels weird, I know. And then you roll your eyes counterclockwise. One time, slowly, and then you center them. And now you're gonna hum a couple of bars of Happy Birthday. And now we're gonna count forwards and backwards. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And now we're going to do Happy Birthday again. Now we stop. Take a deep breath. All the way up. All the way up. And you hold it. And when you're ready, you relax. And now we'll go to step number 4, which is identical to number 2. It's the sequence again, but now we're going to wrap it up. I'm going to tap at the top of the head again, 5 to 7 times. This anger that I was feeling, I don't feel this. I'm less angry now. We'll go to the eyebrow, corner of the eyebrow, either side of 1. You know, this anger, I really want to be pissed, but I don't feel it as much as I did. I don't know. I'm thinking about those people who made me angry, side of the eye, you know. Then you go to the under the eye. I love the fact that I'm not feeling this angry. I felt something, but I don't know what it is, but I'm going to check when I'm done. Governor's point. This anger that I release it happily. Chin. I am ready to fill my heart with gratitude, with appreciation. Something better than anger. Go to the collar. This anger that has been with me for a long time, it felt like an extra limb. I'm ready to cut that guy off and patch it up under the arm. My truth is that I am always angry. And I don't even remember why I'm angry anymore. But I don't want to be this way anymore. I'm done with this. Karate chop point. I am not going to be angry. I am going to allow myself to practice elevated emotions, happiness. I deserve happiness. So that's what I'm going to do. Then you take another deep breath. You hold it. And then you relax. And when you relax, you want to observe your body, observe your brain. Don't think or analyze, just be with your breath. And listen to any messages that you are receiving from your brain, from your body, your subconscious mind. It will tell you something because it always does. You see, our brains are it's a dead brick. It just does what we tell it to do. So if we rehearse positivity, it'll create positivity. But if we keep feeding it, downregulated emotions, bad memories, past experiences, traumas that we keep reliving, we're never going to get past that. So practicing letting go and getting your flow in the right direction is really the best way to go. These 4 steps are 3 minutes worth of work when you do it fluently. You start with the discovery, even though I feel angry, all the way down to the last one. Okay, the last tapping sequence, I don't feel this anger anymore. This is 3 minutes worth of work. It's literally 30 seconds worth of tapping per step. It's a total of about 3 minutes. I like to tell people, don't rush, because there's no right or wrong way here. Right now, when we start to learn this, you're learning how to communicate with yourself. You're learning how to communicate with your heart. So there's going to be a lot of resistance. You're gonna find yourself being like, I don't know what to say to myself.
I was just gonna say that.
Please tell me. Tell us.
After the first time with Gabe, and then I was on my own until I scheduled that 5-day with him. But and even after, the 5-day, I struggled with it, and I was tripping over my words, and I didn't know what to say, and oh God, I forgot, and I was looking at the paper, and it just, what though, it got better. Stick with it. It got better. And I'll tell you what, one time I was so angry about something, and I removed myself without saying a word. Which is very unusual for me. I'm that right fighter type person, but I can't not say something. But anyway, I walked out into the garage, and I just took 5 minutes, and I came back in, and I was a happy camper. I know that sounds, oh, la, 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 whatever.
Sounds woo-woo, yeah.
It's absolutely true. And if you get the hang of it, and then just, don't worry about your words. You're going to fumble them at first, and just go through it, and just know it's going to get easier. I can handle my anger so much better right now than I ever could. And it's so simple. I mean, just keep doing it. That's all I can say. Just keep doing it.
Yeah. So yeah, it is a 3-minute process once you learn it. It really should be 5-6 minutes because it's self-care. And it's important to understand the word care. We talk about personal improvements, we talk about, mental wellness and things like that, but we don't care for ourselves enough to do that. So care is an elevated emotion, and it encapsulates everything. It's like the envelope, the care envelope, where you stuff everything else in to complete, that process, that healing event. So it's so important to have self-care. And I tell people every day, emotional care before medical care, because it's absolute. So let me say why it's absolute, right? What I just showed you, this basic recipe, is again for top layer emotions. And it's anything. It could be from a slight headache, physical pain, a little body tension, doubt, fear, phobia, anger, anxiety, stress of any kind, physical pains, the surface layer. You want to get rid of that, because that's why people look for personal improvement, self-improvement things, any other type of healing modalities like Reiki or Psyche, epigenetics, quantum healing, theta healing. There's so many healing things going on. But a lot of people, they want to try it, but there's two things going on. One, they're allowing themselves to be influenced by their BS. If you're not a medical doctor, that cannot be real. Well, you know what? Okay, yeah. Is your pain real? Is your suffering real? Has there been any progress moving forward with the medications? You know,
Can I interrupt here?
please,
Because this
please.
is a huge
Yes,
irritant for me.
yes.
Western pharmaceutical, Western medicine, whatever. I'm telling you, it's killing people.
Yes.
I was on it for 30 years and they just kept giving me more and more and more and more, and it just kept causing more and more issues. And while just masking what the initial problem was.
Right.
Good grief. I could have, you know what? I was suicide. I was a freaky mess.
You can say it. It's okay. You know, EFT or any healing modalities is based on working on your truth. It sounds cliche. I've said this to Lisa the first time, I think. I've made this statement many times to many people. But it is a true statement. The truth will set you free. How cliche is that when you hear it? And people scoff at that statement because we believe in misinformation. We believe in fabricated fake news. I mean, you know, it's not the same simple life that we lived back in the 60s or 70s when I was growing up, right? So things have become really bad, worse for us, let's say, right? But again, because we're influenced by the environment is the only reason why we get sick, because we believe all this junk and it creates anxiety and it makes us feel depressed and it yanks us, you know, up and down all day long. And we are constantly being reminded and bombarded by all this subconscious programming, whether it's a movie, an advertisement, a newspaper, whatever it is. You need our help all the time, and here's the medication for it. So the tapping sequence, the basic recipes, just for your surface layers. It's a great primer for what's to come. And what is to come is this: the ability to self-heal. I know. Let me repeat that so that you can say, he's full of crap. The ability to self-heal. Now, I'm going to tell you why this is not only plausible, but it's evidence-based, science-based, neuroscience, and biochemical science-based. We have the innate ability to self-heal. Why? Because we have cells in the body. And a cell, okay, has a 0.07 or 0.07 millivolts of electricity. And each cell in our body has two little antennae. It's a fascinating thing to know your body at this level, okay? And it gets better when we go subatomic. Talk about Ant-Man. So we go into the cells, 0.07 millivolts. We have about minimum 35 trillion cells, but we really got over 100 trillion and nobody knows the real number, but let's say 35 trillion because I did the math. Now, when we activate each cell in the body, okay, and we have 35 trillion and you do the math, we can charge up, I don't know what your hometown is, Lisa or Mars, but you can light up New York City with the amount of electricity that we internalize, that we have. So because we have this internal ability, because we are electrical beings, emotional electrical beings. People are electrical, people are magnetic. We are 100% water, we are 100% energetic, and we have a broadcasting station right on our head, which is called the pineal gland. So here's the way we work. When we start to have a clear intention, doesn't matter what it is. I want to be happy. That's a clear intention. I want $1 million. That's a clear intention. Plus an elevated emotion. I love that I'm getting $1 million, that I have $1 million, that I feel $1 million. I'm excited about my new career because I'm making it happen. When you invoke an elevated emotion with a clear intention, you're creating what's called a vibrational match because we're energetic. So we're churning up all this electricity in our bodies that's signaling the brain, literally. And what happens is when we do it as if, and those two words are so important, as if, you want to be able to experience in feeling the event before it happens. Why is that important to you? I'm going to tell you. Because most people want to wait for it to happen before they can feel it. Oh, I want to find Mr. Right before I feel love in my heart. No, you want to feel love in your heart so Mr. Right comes to you. Okay. Oh, I want to feel excited about my new job and I'm going to apply for it next month. Why? Why do you have to wait next month to feel excited about a job that you want now? It's in the present that you want it, not the future. So when we do things as if, and we have that elevated emotion, and we have that clear intention, we're creating a vibrational match. And because we are electric magnetic, our intention is broadcasted out to the universe. The more you feel,
you got me so freaking fired up. I want to just jump right in there.
yeah, jump in there. You know, our thoughts are broadcasted out to the universe.
This
It's
stuff
exciting.
works.
Yeah.
What we think about, what we is exactly what we bring about. I mean, if you can, it's like your perfect day. If you can imagine your perfect day and put every emotion into it, like you know what you're seeing, you know who you're with, you know what you hear, you know what you smell, you know what you feel in your heart, you know what you know, all of that. You feel it just like it already is.
That is correct.
Then you are manifesting too.
Yes, correct.
I love it. I get so
Absolutely
freaking fired up.
So yeah, so you know, a brain broadcast.
Yeah.
Well, just because we throw it out, we need the boomerang effect. We need the magnetic attraction coming back towards us, and that's our heart. That's where the elevated emotion is so important, because our energies run on a frequency that's measured in hertz. Anything below 440 hertz is a downregulated emotion. Appreciation is a little below, it's like 400. So anything below 400 is a downregulated emotion. It means that you're lowering all your energies in your body to your lower registers, your lower chakras, all the way down to the sacral chakra, root chakra, and your brain is drained. You have no energy in your brain to be able to attract, to broadcast, to send out that intention. And because it's below your solar plexus, your heart as well is struggling. It has no energy to attract, to draw in the experience. So this is why it's so important to keep it elevated. We've never practiced this in our lives. We practice pissed off. We practice dissension. We practice chaos. We love this. We're addicted to it. That's another conversation. But the whole thing is this, right? We think it, we send it out, we broadcast out, and we feel it. We draw the experience back to with our hearts. Literally what we're doing is we're creating an EMF field around ourselves. Yes, to answer or respond to Mars, because I love what you're saying. Mars says, Joe Dispenza, Norman Cousins, Leona Boyd also have done it to be better. They do it at a different level. They do it at a complete meditative, super theta level, brainwave level, 7 days or 14. Their boot camps are intense. That's all day, every day until you have, boom, a breakthrough. They're amazing. I love Joe Dispenza. Dr. Bruce lived it as well. Magnificent.
If you are not into meditate, you definitely have to, because I've been meditating a lot.
Yes.
And it helps a lot. And I actually felt, I don't remember who I told this to just the other day, but that one time I was meditating, I actually felt just enveloped,
Right.
like God was hugging me.
Yes.
It didn't last. I
Yes.
kid you not. That's exactly what I felt. And it was just so
Yes.
comforting.
And
You
that's where EFT goes. Like I started saying, we all start at surface layer emotions because that's what's present in our lives. That's what we are familiar with. And we don't recall what happened last week, last month, last year, 10 years ago. But it's in there, it's buried, it's stacked up. Emotional stacking is what we do over time. So EFT takes you to that level. There's optimal EFT, which provides you or teaches a person to deal with what's called the unseen therapist. Let's call it a conscious intelligence, the one that repaired Marsh's arms, the one that repaired Dr. Joseph Spencer's, thoracic, bones and the lumbar and all that, So it's our conscious intelligence that we are speaking to at an optimal level. It's either, it doesn't matter if it's EFT, epigenetics, against psyche, quantum healing, because they all do the same thing. They all take you to that spiritual connection of full-blown self-regulated healing. And Dr. Joseph Spencer has cured cancer, as Marsh would know. He has cured his own body of a major catastrophe while running a bicycle race. He got hit by a car. And he was in a hospital for like 6 months, and he said, I'm going to walk out of here.
And he actually thought he healed himself through his thoughts.
Correct.
He went through the whole process in his mind. It took him forever. No, it didn't take him forever. It didn't take him forever.
There's more to this as well, because he also was told to sell his house, sell his car, and all these other things. And if he would agree to that, he would agree to his path, that parallel universe that he could have jumped himself into.
Excellent.
Yeah. Mind,
so,
you know what? Whatever we think we are.
Well, Dr. Dispenza likes to say, if we can think ourselves sick, can we think ourselves well? And yes, because again, the two most powerful faculties that human beings have is thoughts and emotions. And they're a tag team. They're a 1-2 punch. There was a time in psychotherapy that the mind-body connection was this. It was two separate entities. Well, Dr. Diane Pert was the one, if I remember correctly, if that was her, she put it into science-proven, evidence-based perspective that the mind-body is one connection, and then the importance of it. And what's beautiful about it moving forward is pioneers like Dr. Joe Dispenza and Bruce Lipton, because of their work, now there is a new field, a neuro something from the heart, neurocardioplasticity something, where the mind-body connection is that real that we've discovered, or neuroscience has discovered, that the heart has its own central nervous system. It has its own neural sensors that signals the brain. So it's all about the heart. It's never been about the brain. Our hearts control your universe. And the only way to heal oneself, and I know it sounds corny, I'm going to say it again, is through the emotion of love, gratitude, appreciation, excitement, trust, freedom. I mean, anything that's upper register is good for you. Anything that's ego-based is not. Greed, avarice, depression, narcissism, loneliness, cheating, violence, bullying. I mean, you call it whatever you want to say it is. Those are down-regulated emotions. So your heart suffers from that. Yes, Marcia.
Could these things have something to do with helping us to grow and how not to be, or how to be to a certain degree, to give us that confidence? Because there's some of us out there that might say something that, hey, why is this person trying to control them? But yet they're turning around and trying to control this person to try to change them. And they're just showing them like, hey, this is a characteristics and aspects of yourself. And this is, you're only doing it to yourself in a certain degrey.
Correct. So
we can change anybody. We can't change.
Yeah, first of all, we can't change anybody, right?
No,
nobody can. Yeah, right. You change oneself. So, like I like to tell a lot of people, I can lead you to water, but I can't choke the crap out of you when I get you there. I can't force you to do what you want to do. But see, this is what's beautiful about a practitioner, at least a healing practitioner. We're not here to nurture your bad feelings. We're here to work with your strengths, with your innate abilities, and show you how powerful you really are to get past that. We're here to provide accountability and support and guidance so that you can have a perspective shift, an energetic shift, a complete breakthrough. And with EFT, what happens is you have what's called a healing event at a cellular level. This is why it's so important to have an elevated emotion with a clear intention. Because once we tap the pain management scale from -10 to 0, you still have the other side, 0 to +10, to work on. That's where a healing event occurs in the body biologically. And as we continue to regulate our emotions, our emotional energy and our mental energies to vibrate on the same frequency, okay, we literally create a healing event that the cells in the body signal the heart and says, we're ready. We don't feel this anymore. We're not hurt by this. And the heart literally signals the brain and says, you are safe. Because it says that to the brain shuts off its sympathetic nervous system, the parasympathetic fires up, and now we are in creation mode. Now we are in God mode, literally. We can literally push forward and understand what our limitations are, and our limits are universal. They're not the sky. Anybody who says the sky's the limit doesn't know what they're talking about. Our limits are universal, and we don't even know how far that goes. So take advantage of the fact that it's okay to be aware that we are messed up, but it's not our fault. It never was our fault. We're not broken. We were just taught, or better said, programmed to conform at a subconscious level. Because let's face it, we are a controlled species. We're controlled by government and religion. We're not going to have that conversation. But the point is this: emotions do not come with a country flag. They don't come with a religious perspective, political view. It doesn't have a country to fall back on. Emotions are universal. Elevated emotions are part of your source, which is love, which is bliss. So you always want to go back to source. You always want to go back where you were born innately with these superpowers that were stolen from us right from the beginning, because the powers that be know this. So it's not a fight.
By the way, reintegrates everything that I have been saying in the group with the God memorandum
Mhm.
and all of these things. So it all goes together. And this was amazing, Gabe. I appreciate you staying as long as you did. This is, yeah, we've had you for an hour and a half, but Mars, I think you got some amazing value out of this.
Yeah, I did. Yes. And
I did months ago, but I'm so glad to bring this and share it with you guys. Gabe, you're amazing. Now, anybody wants to really needs that 90-day, you can work that out with Gabe. Just send him a message, and if he can work you in, I'm sure he will. And I would highly, highly recommend, and I think his prices went up just a little bit since I've done it, but I
Yes,
would
it did.
highly recommend that 5-day course, because you know what? It took the 5 days, I think.
Yes, it does take 5 days, at least.
It
at
absolutely
minimum.
did. And I was up and down and up and down. You guys already heard my testimony to
It
that.
gets the ball rolling, it does.
what if you put
Yeah.
up a link? What if
Mhm.
you put up a link or something in the group or wherever?
You could do that, because he is in our group, or you can join our group.
I'm in the group. Anybody in the
Yeah.
group can ask me, which I'm okay with that. I
That's
just want to
right.
say this.
He's got
I am more than happy to provide anybody, providing my schedule. I always give 5 free, 90-minute tapping sessions a month. I only do that because I exclusively work with just 6 to 7 paid clients per month. Because it's important that I provide clients high value. And this is what I provide: 4 full weeks, 8 tapping sessions, 2 per week, accountability, meditations, visualizations, and tapping techniques that'll get you going in between the 2 tapping sessions per week. So you get me for a full month to make sure that you have a breakthrough. And the thing that's important to understand is that you got to want to do it.
That's right.
Not everybody's ready. Everybody's curious, even though they feel the pain, and they're going to say, let me take my medication again. I'm not ready. That's okay too. But the thing is, if you're not ready to commit, nobody can make you change. Well, you got to want to change. I had to change myself because the choices that I made in my life created some major chaos here in Ecuador. So I went through a shitload of stuff, okay, that caused me to live on $1 a day for 8 months, be in the streets, not know about my future, pray in despair, which is something that God doesn't give a crap about. You know, if we pray in despair, you don't get it because there's no vibrational match there. You can't beg for help and feel like crap. It's not about that. The universe doesn't speak that language.
You think lack of, that's exactly what you bring to you.
Exactly.
You got to think in abundance.
From what I'm understanding, it's consciousness that had this dream of all these multidimensional realities and dimensions, and it allows a part of itself to choose whatever its experience is and then vibrate into that field.
There you go. Absolutely correct. So think of it as, again, since we are broadcasting towers, all right, and we are on this particular dial, FM dial, we are vibrating on this frequency, 99.2 FM, and you want to go to 101.3. That's a different frequency. That's a whole different layer. You got to be able to have a clear intention, an elevated emotion, like you're already walking, living in that space before it happens. The universe doesn't answer when, where, why, how, who, or whatever. It only cares about two things: a clear intention based on thought energy, an elevated emotion based on heart energy, feelings, love, excitement, gratitude, everything that's good for you. Okay, as if. When you think of those things as if, and you're feeling it, the universe will respond. You don't need to concern yourself as to when or how or why or how much. Doesn't matter. You want $1 million? Tell the universe. That's a clear intention. I want $1 million. And I love the fact that I want $1 million.
Celebrate.
And I feel it. And I'm walking in that.
Hold
But
that
see-
thought consistently. Like I
Yeah.
said, I did on my live the other day.
Right.
16 seconds, like do that 4 times in a row and hold that
Right.
thought. That's what pushes the law of attraction towards what you want.
I'm glad you said that, Lisa, because there is a factual way to activate that vibrational match. And it takes 7 seconds to activate a clear intention with an elevated emotion. Just 7 seconds.
Oh, I thought it
I
was
want $1 million.
17.
No, it's 7 seconds, but one has to sustain it over 68 seconds for it
Right.
to be a lock. So it's not impossible for people to embellish in a good thought. I can run an hour thinking exciting things about my life before it happens, and I do. I get lost in my thoughts. I love it. I sit down, I find a quiet place, and I go into my meditation. I do what I gotta do, and I get my mind, okay, working towards that experience before it happens. And it does happen. It's called what Dr. Joe Dispenza calls serendipities, what he calls, the coincidences of our lives. We literally draw these things because it is energy that we're working with. So everything that you see is just matter. It's just low vibrational energy. When we're vibing high, all right, you don't get to see it. It's like that fan that you have. You shut it off, you see the blades, but when it's on, you don't see the blades. That's where your energy is, up there. It's in the cloud, it's beyond the cloud. So you want to be able to vibe so high that everything around you, chaos exists, but it doesn't affect you because you're already drawing the other experiences.
It's kind of like my child self back then, and in the younger times, smashed a guitar with a drum kit, or smashed a drum kit with a guitar.
Yeah.
And father came down, left, never said anything, and that was the last I had saw him. And that's the way these things sometimes go. But
Right.
I found that every success story that I've had, I've only had 20% of that burger, including
Right.
money. And money sometimes only buys you close to happiness, is what I've
Right.
noticed.
Right.
Interesting.
And that, to me, just listening to that, Mars, tells me that, again, there's some underlying limited beliefs about something. What that is, I don't know. But we won't know unless we actually get into that flow. The great thing about it is, again, that it is absolute, but it's only absolute when we do it and practice it. And that's important because we're adults. After the age of 35, we're a lock. That means that we have become that which we practiced prior to 35. And nobody's going to change your mind unless you have another crisis. So this is where people say, oh, I hit rock bottom. Yeah, did that change the way you think and feel? Absolutely. But it doesn't change people to the better side of things. It's like, yeah, I crashed, I recovered, poof, I'm alive, but we still have the same behaviors and patterns and self-sabotaging ways of being. You know, you want to be able to shift that totally. Don't wait till you hit rock bottom. Practice awareness of self. I feel like crap. Yeah. Don't question yourself as to why, because you'll never find out the truth. But you can say, what solutions do I need to stop feeling this way? That's the train of thought that we need to create the habit of doing. I don't feel well today. I'm going to snuff this. I'm going to put this fire out, and I'm going to do something to get myself back into balance. When we keep ourselves off balance, we create more problems for ourselves. We attract more problems for ourselves.
Well, I found too that a lot of our traditions that were genuine have been lost due to ego, thinking that this is the way these things are. But it turns out you got to shut the body, mind, and emotions, which I've been practicing since November 11th of 2012.
Yeah.
And I can't run away either. And I just got to trust that everything's all within me, and everything's going to be a fine journey, and just let go of those thoughts passing by in the clouds in the sky.
It is.
I think you are more in tune with yourself than you give yourself credit for, Mars. I do. And I think you question yourself.
I'm not questioning myself. I put out questions so that way a person can answer with their own answer. It's a yay or nay, because we're both right on both aspects. Turns out if Eminem says failure's not an option, success is. And then you got another Eminem that says expect the worst of everything, at least to get the least of it. And anything between that spectrum, they're all right by that perception of that one thing, by their own experiences.
But their perception doesn't have to be our perception.
Exactly. But the thing is it's just a question I put out there for us to answer on our own terms, whether it's right or I don't say it's wrong, because it's all one consciousness. Right. It's our ego that has the male and female hemisphere that has kind of judged things. It's like one side's like logic and the other side's auspicious. And it's like the logic part's like, no way, it's not like that. But yes, it is, because I did one thing that just blew my mind. I had to think about it, visualize, and feel like it was already done and not look back.
Right.
Okay, I'm gonna wrap this up, you guys. We could talk about this all night, but
maybe we can do it again another time. We'll see.
Absolutely. Yeah, we've had Gabe for a long time here, and I appreciate you staying this late.
Thank you.
It was amazing, great information. Yeah, he's the bomb. I love it. I love it. Now, I do have this tapping process that we did tonight in the group. With Gabe's permission. So I do have that in there. I will have the other sheets in there by tomorrow. Now, if anybody is out there that is not in that group and you want to be, up to you, just reach out. Otherwise, this has been fabulous. I feel fantastic. And when I tap, I know I'm going to get a good night's sleep.
Awesome.
I don't sleep well. 3 hours a night is really max for me. I'm just high strung a little bit, but when I tap, I know that I'm going to sleep at least 5 hours, which is huge.
Huge.
Could it have anything to do with the solar storms that we've been getting lately? With because we're like getting aurora borealis like in places that we don't normally get, and I'm like, interesting. What's that about?
It could be, I mean, you're getting an additional influx of energy in your atmosphere closer to home. So that's changing a lot of people's, exactly. Your timing and everything. I mean, we're slowly becoming zombies or something.
Okay, so if anybody wants to reach out to Gabe, please do that. You can contact him through me if you can't find him. I'm sure you'll be able to find him. He's friends with me. He's in our group. So thank you for that. Thank you for this, Gabe. I appreciate you very, very
Well,
much.
thank you. Thank you for having this conversation
Alright,
live with me, and I really appreciate you guys. Thank you. Mars, likewise.
Yeah.
Thank
And
you,
I appreciate,
that.
I apologize about the confusion.
No, no worries.
Technology, what are you gonna do?
Trial.
Whoever got to watch us tonight, consider yourself blessed because it was supposed to be private in the group. So there you have it. All right, Gabe,
All
I'm
trial and error.
Thank
close
you.
this out. Thanks, whoever was on. I don't know who was on. I will find out later and thank you myself.
I see Charlie there and Gina,
Great.
so you can thank them.
Okay, thanks, guys. I appreciate it. And we're
Okay.
out of here. All right.
All the best.
Bye,
Namaste.
guys.
Love you
Thank you
guys.
so
Again,
much.
all the best.